I'm at Briar's Place. Where we can laugh at our own mistakes. You don't have to be perfect to be a part. Just have love and plenty of heart on Briar's Place. Whoa, whoa. Whoa, let's get on over to Briar's Place. We're gonna have a good time today. We got plenty of friends who live in the street. Craziest people you'll ever meet on Briar's Place. Whoa, Briar's Place. Oh.
Briar's Place will return after these messages.
Hello. Give me 1 second. I'm still a work in progress here. There I am. Okay. So this is that time of year where, how can I put it? I don't know if some people become more genuine or actually it brings out more pretension in people. And before I continue, I'll let you know I am jaded. It's not something that, I don't know why I'm feeling. I know exactly why I'm feeling this way. One of the things I noticed early on as a child was that there was never talk about homeless people and giving back, except during the holiday season. Hey, Wind Whispers. Actually, my day's just starting. It is actually 8:07, or excuse me, 8:08 a.m. Friday morning here in Asia. So they don't really celebrate Thanksgiving here. And to be totally honest, I've never even seen a turkey in the Philippines. They might have one at the zoo, but not at the zoo I went to. It's interesting. Um, I guess for me, having PTSD and being around a holiday season is that during the course of the entire year, nobody bothered to try and understand the condition. And they can't appreciate that. Don't worry about that. I sometimes forget the time difference too. I make a mistake and call people, and they're like fast asleep because it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon here, and over there it's like midnight. So, it's fine. But how was your holiday, Wind Whispers? Was it okay? Did you root for the Packers to beat the Detroit Lions? Dallas Cowboys are acting like, world beaters as they're playing the Washington Commanders, which turned out to be quite the boring game. And when I say boring, I mean boring. Ugh. Anyhow, I'm not going to sit here and give a lecture about how to treat people with PTSD. It was more about just going over my experience and dealing with the. Hold on. Oh, never mind. That one of those vendors is coming down the street. Let me see. I have not had what you would call a good Thanksgiving, Christmas, holiday season. The last year I had one was in 1985, just to give you an idea. And that was the last holiday season I spent with my mother before she died. Um, 1986, she was actually in a hospital, but she was in a coma. And then she passed away in the spring of 1987 when I was about 15. And that first official holiday season without my mom was trying to find the right word. Surreal, I guess, is a word you could use. So let me paint the picture for you. My mother had owned our house. So when she passed, it went to me and my sister, who was an adult. I was still a minor. And so on paper, she was my guardian, but strictly on paper. Anyway, this was, how can I put this mildly? Okay, so in case I haven't mentioned this before, my mother's daughter, my sister, is a whore. Um, there's no nice way to say it. It is what it is. She's a whore. I don't want you want factual information. Her firstborn child had to undergo 4 paternity tests to find out who his father was. So, give you an idea. Well, she's also a narcissist and a sociopath. So, yeah, she didn't make for good blood relatives. Anyhow, in the fall of '87, she was dating, at my count, 5 guys. I mean, from a player standpoint, she was a baller, but from a subjective standpoint, yeah, she was a whore. You know, I I gotta be honest though. I mean, if you looked at it, and if it was a guy dating 4 women or 5 women, you know, especially during the misogynistic days of then, it would probably be like, wow, he's really handling himself well. But she was a whore. So that being said, there was one main boyfriend, and then there were, I guess, her side pieces. But in all honesty, I think, truthfully speaking, she was the side piece. So there's one particular guy who he was an enterprising young man at that time. I will say he liked her. I mean, all the guys liked her because she came off as this like wholesome kind of girl. The kind that you didn't want your mom to meet, but it was all in that. So this particular day was the Sunday before the Thanksgiving of 1987, as I mentioned. And she wants me to go out with this guy, like just hang out with him. And I felt like a pawn. I didn't want to. And she's trying to entice me by saying, he's going to buy you some sneakers. And I'm like, I like the sneakers I have on my feet. I was never really into fashion. So I hang out with the guy, and he was an okay dude. He bought me sneakers, but I wasn't really impressed by it. When we get back to the house, she had this really bitter attitude, which kind of made him not want to stay, so he left. And then I found out the reason that happened was because she had the main boyfriend coming over shortly thereafter. So I'm giving a lot of details that are kind of insignificant, but I'll just say this. She used to date a guy that lived down the street from us. He came from a large family. And it was a nice family. Like I played football with, his nephews. And his mother took in foster children. So it was a big family. They had foster kids, all of that. But here's the thing, as nice as they were to me, I didn't see them as family because they weren't my family. And the only person I had spent every single holiday with, my mother, had just died. Now, when I was younger, like 7, 8, 9, and my mother married that a hole, abusive stepfather. There were those family events at Thanksgiving and Christmas, but you know, she divorced him. My sister decided she didn't want to follow anybody's rules, so she left. So it was just me and my mother. And for me, those were good holidays. I planned on just being alone. Now, mind you, I was 15. I didn't know anything about post traumatic stress disorder, didn't know it existed. But for me, I just wanted to be alone. For her, it wasn't that she wanted me to be around people or she wanted to cheer me up. It was to impress the people that lived down the street because she had everybody thinking that she was this young adult and she's working and she's taking care of her brother after her mom died and she's doing such wonderful things. So it was more to impress people. And I didn't articulate it at that time, but I knew it wasn't genuine in her motivation. And even if it was, I didn't want to go. And it wasn't because I didn't like the people. It wasn't because I had other plans. I didn't have any plans. I didn't want any plans. I didn't want to go. She couldn't respect that. So she used to do this thing where if I didn't, well, let me say it this way. It's one thing if you're taking care of a person and they're not following your rules. And it's another thing if they're trying to manipulate you to do things that you don't want to do and they threaten you with I'm going to have you removed and put into custody. And that was what she tried to do on this particular day. And at that point I didn't care. You know, I just didn't care. And it led into a big argument. The problem for her was she didn't realize like she had a lot of dirt out in the streets and had a lot of dirty laundry that she didn't think I was going to air out. But for me, it was you don't respect me, I'm not going to respect you. And so I started talking. And I let the guy that bought me the sneakers know not only does she have other boyfriends, she's pregnant. And she might try to drop it on you, which he let her know. He didn't flat out say it, but he did let her know, like, I know you're lying. And they kind of stopped talking to each other. And for her, it wasn't the fact that she didn't like him anymore. And it wasn't even the fact that he wouldn't forgive that, but she was embarrassed because he knew she wasn't genuine anymore. So, anyhow, one of the things that I remembered as a kid that I enjoyed about the holidays, Thanksgiving in particular, was that 4-day weekend. You know, you go to school Wednesday and you're not paying attention to anything that's going on. And the teachers, smart teachers, would recognize that. But then when you go home that night, you got what, the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving and Puff the Magic Dragon, and you're getting ready for the parade, and you know you might see cousins you like, and you get to eat turkey, and then you got Friday off. Yeah, there was no big hype about Black Friday when I was a child. That became something that built up later on. But you knew that was the start of like Christmas shopping and writing your Christmas list and all of that anticipation. But when my mother died, all of that happiness and anticipation and the joy of, you know, the pending holiday, it died with her for me. And it's not that I wanted it to die for me. I didn't want it to die for me, and I didn't want it to die for anybody else. But the reality was, those special days for me were gone. They weren't coming back. Not in that context. They weren't coming back anymore. You know, my mother was my everything. You know, she was my security blanket. She was my encyclopedia. She was my, good angel on the shoulder. She was the one that, whose opinion mattered the most to me. All of that was taken from me. And now I'm left with the people that saw her in the same fashion, but for selfish reasons. And my sister being one of them. That holiday, I actually went to the market because I had been, when my mother really got sick, I started being a caretaker. So I had made my first full Thanksgiving dinner at the age of 12. The turkey, the macaroni, the stuffing, the cranberries, the brown and serve rolls, all that junk, the collard greens. I had been doing that since I was 12. Did it at 12, did it at 13, did it at 14, didn't do it at 15 because she was in the hospital. I went to the market and I had gotten like maybe $150 worth of food because I was just going to make a Thanksgiving dinner. I knew at some point somebody was going to eat it, but I just wanted to make it. That was the energy that I was feeling, so I went with it. And I happened to see the cashier who liked me, and so she gave it all to me for $30. Yay me. So when I took it back into the house, and this is the same day with the guy that bought me the sneakers, he actually was with me to carry the stuff home. She gets upset, and that's when she's telling me, "Well, no, you're going down the street," and I'm telling you, "No, I'm not." Yeah, yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, yeah, no, I'm not. So I guess she tried to, punk me, or she thought like I would be intimidated at the thought because the woman that had the foster children, she was also the block captain, very much respected on the block. And she's like, "Well, you're going to call her and tell her you're not going." Okay. So I called her. She wasn't home, but I let her know, like, look, let her know I'm not coming. So she didn't have to make a plate for me. Don't, expect to see me. I'm not coming. And so my sister gets upset and accuses me of being disrespectful and terrible. And, well, you're still going. And I'm like, I'm not going. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. Long story short, I had an aunt that was a crackhead at the time. I don't know what she's doing now. But I knew she never had money for Thanksgiving because she was on crack. But I also knew that I could take this over to her house. I also knew there wasn't going to be a lot of people there because I didn't want to be around a lot of people. I didn't like that. But even before I had PTSD, I was a shy person. I didn't mind being around like if I knew everybody, but if I didn't know everybody, I was uncomfortable. And then I'm balancing that with trying to think, positive, and then you think about, the good holidays, while at the same time you're realizing none of those things can ever happen. They're permanent memories. They can't be replicated. It's not going to be like, I wonder how it's going to be this year with no, mom's gone. Mom's gone. All of that left with her. They didn't get it. And to be fair, I didn't get it. But what I did know was that I didn't want people to feel sad because I was feeling sad. You go, you have your Thanksgiving, you have a great time, eat till you explode, talk smack, watch football, watch the parades, have fun. I'll be okay over here. People with post traumatic stress disorder generally tend to isolate themselves when that feeling is strong. On top of that, there is a tremendous amount of pressure that people with post traumatic stress disorder feel during the holidays, of being festive and going in large gatherings and sitting down and smiling and, hey, how have you been? And hey, how you feeling, buddy? What's going on? You okay? If I tell you, yeah, I'm lying. If I say no, what's that going to lead into? Are you really going to stop what you're doing and talk to me on this day? Because that's the thing. Well, you had to bring it up now. Why'd you do it today? Yeah, nobody wants to hear that. So it's just best to stay isolated. Now, there were certain holidays that, and it's not all holidays, don't get me wrong, but it's those holidays that are like, quote unquote, the family gatherings. Your Christmas, your Thanksgiving, to a certain extent, your Easter, your 4th of July, Memorial Day. Not everybody gets together for those. People make plans. Hey, we're going to the shore for the holiday weekend. Or you know what, we're going camping. Or those are different. But these holidays, at least in the Western world, have been programmed to say you have to come together and pretend you like each other, and and you eat food, and everybody goes around the table and say what they're thankful for. What if you don't know what you're thankful for? See, those are the things going on in my head. My mother's gone. What am I thankful for? That I'm not going? Why would I be thankful that I'm not going when I don't want to be here because my mother's not here? But that would depress people. If people with PTSD don't look to depress other people, so we know we're not in a good state. So we leave. The problem is, you know how they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions? Well, it's like a lot of people I knew at that time must have worked in masonry because they were trying to pave this road to hell for me. Yeah, I'm going to force you, you're going to have a good time kind of thing. If I had a nickel for every person that decided they were going to become a surrogate mother for me and then give me advice that made absolutely no sense, yeah, I'd be a billionaire. Yeah, they just couldn't understand best thing you could do was the simplest thing. Just give me space. You want to call and check on me? Appreciate it. That's from the heart. If you want to say, hey, listen, I'm not sure how you're going to be feeling at this time, but if you want to come, there's going to be a place for you here. That touches the heart because it's an open invitation. But for me, I felt bad that I wanted to go or I wanted to be out and be festive, but I couldn't be. And I couldn't understand why. So, when you make arrangements 6 months out, yeah, you got plans for Thanksgiving? No, you come to my house. Yeah, it's great. You know, that's in like May or April. But now it's, you know, Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and you're not feeling the same as you did in April. Your emotions are like iffy because the holidays are going to trigger memories, good or bad. They're going to trigger memories because it's a holiday. Holy day is what they used to call it. Years ago, when the routine of Thanksgiving changed, I had changed Thanksgiving to Thank God's Day. So I like that. I had a poser friend who wanted to, I guess, I don't know what the word is, be important or seem like they were like revolutionizing things. And they decided instead of celebrating on Thanksgiving, they would have a celebration on Black Friday and call it Family Friday, which I thought was a good idea, except that's as far as they took it. Because I thought that could be something that could change things. I mean, 25 years ago, Black Friday didn't start at like 11 o'clock p.m. on Thursday. It started on Black Friday. And I worked at a retail shopping mall for a number of years from 1993 to 1999. And Black Friday was a big day. Um, yeah, I do like to thank God's Day because you're thanking God. You know, I don't believe in mandatory, I guess, mandatory conditions or policies if it's supposed to be a holiday. Culture's man made. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the original pilgrims and the indigenous people ate squid on that day that they gave thanks. But it's more about, family you haven't seen in a year or 2 years or whatever, and everybody has to impress their relatives when they come back, or I got that promotion, or I'm doing good, or you're bragging about your kid because you yourself were a loser. It, it, it just doesn't feel natural for me. It doesn't feel authentic for me. It didn't match my idea, my ideology of giving thanks. I used to love watching those movies where you saw people come together for the holidays and you saw bedlam break out. Food fights at the Thanksgiving table, or somebody, betraying a confidant, or, telling secrets that, I told you that confidence. Why would you tell him here? Yeah, I enjoyed those kind of movies because it seemed real. But my whole thing is, if I didn't talk to you for the entire holiday season, I mean, not the holidays, if I didn't talk to you all year, why am I forced to talk to you now? Like, we're not under court order to celebrate a holiday. It feels fake and forced when whispers because it is fake and forced. That's the problem. And then the manipulation of, I don't ask you for anything. And the only thing I'm asking you is to come over here and be with family and people that care. But I don't want to. Respect that. Let me come over. That was my family. Someone always fought. See, if I knew there was going to be a fight that broke out, I might want to go. I mean, that sounds terrible. I know it does, but it's kind of like you're being real. I met a guy in California last year when I was on my way to come to Asia, and he had a great wife. She was very supportive. He had PTSD, not much unlike my own. And when we both realized we had PTSD, we were talking for hours. I was at one of those extended stay hotels. So it was awesome. And, I was sharing with him my coping strategies. He was sharing with me his coping strategies. And we were 10 years apart in age. He was younger than me. We had so much in common, even like how we thought about things. And it was just like, that Spider-Man meme where he's staring into the mirror. It was almost like that. But what he was telling me, there was a get together with family, like his mother, aunt, sisters, everybody's gonna be there. And this family friend who had been emotionally abusive to him as a child. And he said that, he was always uncomfortable, being around this person, which I got. And it's funny how this is a grown man. I mean, he was a man in every respect of the word. Genuine man, like man with children, man. But that scarring he got as a child took him back to that, not that mentality, but those feelings came back, being in the presence of this person. And he said he didn't know what to do. Hey, Wind Whispers. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the screen now. I just see your picture. Hey, you're very pretty. Get a load of you. Wind Whispers is a looker. All right. Anyway, he said it was coming up, and hey, yeah, love you too. He didn't know what to do, and I told him point blank, don't go. You know, that's the thing that I was kind of talking about, but I went in such an abstract direction with it. As children, we're forced into certain things. And if you don't have PTSD, being forced to go to Thanksgiving dinner, when you live in Pennsylvania and you got to go to grandma's house in Virginia and you're going to miss out on what your friends are doing on, Black Friday, you can get over that. Being forced to be around people that are triggering memories that you rather not have to deal with is something else. And a lot of times, people with PTSD, especially if you don't know you have it, you feel bad because you don't want to disappoint somebody. You don't want to disappoint anybody. So you force yourself to go. And now, while you're there, you're probably fighting anxiety, which means part of your brain is focused on corralling the anxiety and keeping it gripped up so you don't fly off the handle, while at the same time you're kind of sad from the memories that all of this is triggering. It's very complicated, and it's not easy to understand. The problem for me anyway was that I was around people that didn't even try to understand. you know, my mother died 10 days before her 39th birthday. She was 38 years old when she died. And the funny thing was, on her 38th birthday, my grandmother bought a cake and we had those numbered candles, and I couldn't find the 8. So I put a 9 on it. My mom's like, I'm 38. I'm not 39. And I said, hey, we're a year early. Don't worry about it. Not realizing that she wouldn't see her 39th birthday. Who would know? You got those types of things going through your head because my main person, my only person who I valued was gone, and you feel alone. And no matter how many people are around you, you're going to feel alone. And it's not by choice. And I had people stop speaking to me because I didn't show up at their house for the holidays. I had people that would make really passive aggressive jokes about, yeah, guy, he's not going to show up. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what we're cooking for. You're not going to come. You don't want to make commitments that far in advance because you don't know how you're going to feel on that day. Like I said, for me, 1985 was the last year I enjoyed the holidays. That Christmas and that Thanksgiving. And it's not to say every holiday since then has been bad or nightmarish or terrible. There's some in there, don't get me wrong. But that feeling of excitement and, yeah, this is going to be great, and wow, this was a great holiday, I haven't felt that in, almost 40 years. And speaking of 40 years, I I figured I'd pull some old school stuff out from yesteryear, share with you guys from 1985.
Give me a break, now I know what it takes. I'm putting a new face on the old one, ready for anything. Playing with fate, not a moment too late. Showing the whole world nothing can get me down. Ooh, give me a break, yeah, yeah. Give me a break, 'cause I sure need one. Give me a break, yeah, yeah. I finally know where I belong. Give me a break, yeah, yeah. Give me a break, 'cause I sure need one. Give me a break, yeah, yeah. I finally know where I belong. Give me a break.
Yeah, give me a break, man. Oh wait, when whispers you're saying is double-edged sword. I sat back one day thinking of the bad, and I realized if my bad is this bad, what happened to them? I don't know what you mean. What happened to what? What to what? It is a double-edged sword, though. That part I definitely understand. You know, even when I got older and I was trying to, create my own holiday memories moving forward. Like I said, I've been married 3 times, and none of them worked out. And none of them worked out because I married narcissists. Like all 3 times. Bang, bang, bang. Yeah, you can't blame a narcissist for being a narcissist. And since none of them ever knew each other, I knew the problem was me. But that came later. I remember my first year as a social worker, I worked at a residential treatment facility for juvenile delinquent males. It was run by the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. And that first year, it was Thanksgiving. Um, One of the directors, cool guy, we're still friends to this day, he had told me that there was a spike in disciplinary write ups and sanctions during the holiday season, which initially I didn't understand why. And so I thought, well, at Christmas time, because they're upset because they're not getting any gifts. And he said, no, it's a Thanksgiving. And it stunned me because, like, it's a residential treatment program. It was like a juvie hall kind of thing, but you could earn home passes depending on what tier of performance you were at. And the highest tier, you could get like a 7, 8, 10-day pass to go home. And some kids worked for that. And in my mindset, not thinking about the whole PTSD thing, because I had just recently, when I took that job, got diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. But he said the write-ups happened at Thanksgiving. And then he explained it to me. He was like, everybody doesn't celebrate Christmas. And even though we're a Catholic institution, we have kids that are Islamic. We have kids that are Jehovah's Witnesses. We have kids that, for not necessarily atheists, but they just don't celebrate the holidays. But Thanksgiving, even though technically it's to give thanks to God, it's more of a secular holiday. And a lot of times, Thanksgiving, maybe even more so than Christmas, would bring out the worst in people. You got the wine and your spirits. Oh, my life is so confusing to some people, and growing up, I was the one everyone spoke about, but no one actually spoke about. I guess the secret of many in the family. Wow, we got a lot in common. You know, I'm cute too. I always felt uncomfortable and out of place. Believe it or not, well, you'll believe it, but yeah, I did too, but it's because we are different. The problem is, at least for me, no one really ever tried to get to know who I was. They talked to me as if they read a bio sheet and I was supposed to be everything that was on that bio sheet, whether it was true or not. If somebody said, because I didn't go to school, like I dropped out of school to take care of my mother. So the story was, oh, he's a bad kid. He doesn't like going to school. He stayed out of school. So people would talk to me like I was a delinquent. Never been arrested. Only time I was ever in a police car was when we had to take my mother to the hospital. Other than that, never been in a cop car. Don't know what handcuffs feel like. But they would talk to me based on that. Even when they said, so what's going on? You got the vibe that it was superficial. I think it would mean something different and more profound if they said, tell me how you're feeling. What's going on with you? Nobody ever, in the first year that my mother passed away, those first holidays that came after that, nobody ever said, how are you feeling about this holiday coming up? And when I say nobody, I mean nobody thought to ask that. Like my grandmother, my mother's mother, my maternal grandmother, she had a fiance. She had somebody to talk to, share things with. My sister had plenty of penises around, so she did whatever she wanted to do. And like I said, my mother's sister was a crackhead. My uncle, I love my uncle to death. I mean, for a long time, he was like a really great mentor. But he had 3 kids, one of which had like a host of health problems dating back to birth. So he couldn't be there. And I mean, he had 3 kids with 2 baby mamas, and the mother of his 2 daughters, extremely immature. His wife, who was the mother of his son, they were having marital issues at that point. So I wasn't looking for him. But I had nobody to talk to. I mean, at this point, I was going on 16. It's like nobody I knew lost their parents at my age. The old heads that I knew, their parents were still alive and were in prison. And they weren't really the type of men that would go and share their feelings, if you understand what I'm saying. Exactly to the point where they would actually argue with me like I don't know what I do. I'm not laughing at you, but yeah, you totally understand what I'm saying. It's kind of like when Whispers, like they had this preconceived dialect that they were going to use, and you contradicted it, so now they're mad at you. Oh, oh. Wow, that's pretty funny. Okay, all right. I'm good. You gotta let me know when you're gonna crack a joke like that. I'm serious, man. You can't just. They get mad though. They really get mad at you. And then like for me, it's like I'm not feeling well, and you tell them that you got a headache. Well, no. It's your stomach. No. Then you're fine. Yeah. No, I'm not. Even when you're telling them you're not fine, they insist that you are. And then it was amazing how everybody knew when my mother died. Even my grandfather, who didn't have the best relationship with my mother, and that was not his fault. Honestly, that was her fault. I love my mom to death, love my grandfather. I didn't get to spend time with him until after my mother passed away. But that was because my mother just, she was angry with him. She felt he abandoned her. But the truth was, if you met my maternal grandmother, you would probably understand why he stayed away. That's the best way to put it. So he came up and spent time with me. And at this point, he was a regional director for the United States Department of Commerce. He didn't have a lot of free time, but he spent a week with me, like an entire week. Which, when people found that out, they were like, "Wow, like your grandfather stayed with you for an entire week." Yeah, I didn't understand how big of a thing that was for him to do, but it was. And he didn't pressure me to divulge my feelings or, you know, come on, cheer up and we're gonna. No, he actually did something that I thought was incredible. He talked about himself, not in an arrogant way, like I'm the greatest or anything like that. He took me around North Philadelphia where he grew up. And unfortunately, it didn't look much better in 1987 than it did in the 1940s. So it's pretty bad. Hey, what you got, Wind Whispers? They never had anything good. If I said something as simple as a headache, it gets so stressed to the point they say, I promise I'm not laughing at you. It just sounds so familiar. Like it really, and it's not for good reasons. Like it's sad that it feels we shouldn't have. It's unfortunate that we connect because of these types of things, because we're able to laugh now, but going through it, and nobody understood you. And I think worse than not being understood was that nobody tried to understand you. Yeah, oh, that's just her. Yeah, look, we tried, and but they are who they are. We can't deal with that. And it's hard for people to, how can I say it? And I try to be empathetic to the people that are not empathetic to me. Before I had known I had post traumatic stress disorder, I honestly thought there was something wrong with me. Because like I said, it was that ambivalence where you want to participate, you really do, but the anxiety gets to be so overwhelming, and then you start looking for excuses to not go, but then you feel bad because these people, would like to see you, at least some of them, they want you there, and you kind of want to be there, but at the same like that, it's a tremendous amount of pressure, which can then lead into either an anxiety attack or a panic attack or both. And trust me, they are painful. You know, that internal battle boils over at some point, and now you're really not feeling well physically. You really do have a headache. You really have, a stomach issue. You really, heart palpitations, those things. But now, because people can't physically see these things, or visually see them, I should say, they think you're faking. I used to actually, I put this, you know, slip and fall in front of a person. Then they say, "Oh, my ankle." I can't walk now. Man, I'm really sorry. I can't do it. Yeah, just so now they actually see it. So now they might be upset that you can't come, but they may not be mad at you, because that's what they also do too. They get mad at you, and I don't know. For me, during the holidays, I'm at the point now where I'd much rather just be alone. Well, not now. I mean, I have Florian now, so I'm not. I'm really not alone anymore. And but they only celebrate Christmas here. But like you want that space where you feel safe to actually think about your good memories. You know, watching Snoopy and the Peanuts prepare that Thanksgiving meal, and everybody, thinks about the first time they saw it, or they remember the funny joke about it, or listening to Schroeder on the piano and everybody's dancing and jumping up and down. See that can be a good memory, and it can also allow you to look back on a time that you did have with that special person and have a positive emotional experience. But if I'm surrounded by people and everybody's talking, and now it's this new holiday thing going on, I can't, I'm not in a space where I feel safe enough to think of those positive memories. I'm not in an environment where I might be crying, and not necessarily because I'm sad, but just because I'm emotional. If you go to a dinner and you start doing that, yeah, they're going to think you're crazy. No, yeah, wow. Why would you come to my house and start crying like that? What's wrong with you? You could have just stayed home. After they spent the past 3 days bullying you to attend this function, and it's amazing. I'm going to take a short little breakeroni, but while I got some of you guys here, hey, watch this piece. It's a tribute to Donald Trump and his Trump University.
I just want to find 11,780 votes.
Thank you for joining us. I'm here with the prosecutors and investigators who have worked diligently on the investigation of criminal attempts to interfere in the administration of Georgia's 2020 presidential election. Today, based on information developed by that investigation, a Fulton County grand jury returned a true bill of indictment, charging 19 individuals with violations of Georgia law arising from a criminal conspiracy to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election in this state. The indictment includes 41 felony counts and is 97 pages long.
Damn!
Please remember that everyone charged in this bill of indictment is presumed innocent. Specifically, the indictment brings felony charges against Rudolph William Lewis Giuliani.
I'm sober enough to know what I'm doing, and I'm drunk enough to really enjoy doing it.
John Charles Eastman.
You see, Pepperidge Farm remembers.
John Cheeseborough.
You know what they call guys like you in prison? Sweet meat.
Jeffrey Clark.
What are you talking about, Willis?
Jenna Lynn Ellis.
Suck my dick.
Ray Stallings Smith III.
Oh, this rapist face gets 8. Consensually, I might throw in.
Robert David Sheely.
See, that's the type of... I'm gonna kick your ass.
Michael A. Roman.
Yo, answer this question. Are you a virgin?
David James Schaefer.
Where's your fighting spirit, boy? You're fighting American spirit, huh? You are American, ain't you?
Sean Micah Treasure Steele.
Oh my God, the quarterback is toast.
Stephen Cliffgard Lee. Harrison William Prescott Floyd.
Roll, bien!
Travion C. Cootie.
You know the damage one ignorant Negro can do.
Sydney Catherine Powell.
A peepaw was a wild turkey from... Okay.
Kathleen Austin Latham.
I is what I is, and I'm not changing.
Scott Graham Hall.
Someone's been editing my biography on Wikipedia.
Mark Randall Meadows.
And I want to look him straight in the eye, and I want to tell him what a cheap, lying, no-good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, dickless, hopeless, heartless, fat-ass, bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkey shit he is!
And Misty Hampton, also known as Emily Misty Hayes.
Yeah, we did, and you loved it.
If this score was bad, I question the election.
Local racist Democrat district attorney in Atlanta.
The best is yet to come.
Donald John Trump.
If this
Mr.
call
President,
was
there's
bad,
an audio of you asking him to
I
find you
said
11,000
you owe me
votes.
votes because the election was rigged.
I wonder how his Thanksgiving is. Might be the last one where he's not in the orange jumpsuit, huh? Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think anything serious is going to happen to him. Even if he's convicted, he's not going to face prison time. But I digress. Now, there were a couple of traditions that I did find in the course of adulthood, but they were short-lived. So, for example, when I worked at the university doing security, every Christmas that we had to work, we watched the marathon, the 24 Hours of a Christmas Story, which is a very good movie, by the way. And I wholeheartedly recommend people watch that movie if they get a chance to. The other one was Chevy Chase and Christmas Vacation. Those were good Christmas movies. I'm not big on that whole Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer thing. Never have been. Frosty the Snowman. Yeah, not my thing. I never saw a snowman growing up in Philadelphia. Did I? Nah, I didn't. But what needs to be, I guess, I didn't want this to be a sad live stream. And Wind Whispers, thank you for, your comments and your sharing. It was very much appreciated. As culture is man-made, it means it's things that someone started and others joined in. We could change this mentality, of being forced to be around people at the holidays that don't want to be there. I mean, honestly, if there's beef between two siblings, why would you bring both of them there? Why would you have them there knowing the potential of an argument breaking out? And then you might call one and say, listen, your brother's going to be here, so I just need you to, not bring up any of the issues that are going on. Could you imagine if you loaned your brother $10,000, like you co-signed a loan, for example, and they defaulted on a loan, so now you have to pay the $10,000, and now your mom wants the two of you in the house at Christmas time and pretend that's not a major issue. It's unrealistic. You know, if you want everybody to sit down together peacefully on this Thanksgiving or at this Christmas dinner, then you need to work to bring about peace before that day happens. Not pretended that, like, honestly, that's a Filipino mentality where it's like, yeah, just don't think about it. Oh yeah, you know, well, just don't think about it. Can't do that, especially when you have PTSD. You're constantly thinking about it. That's why it's a disorder. If it was just a bad thought, yeah, you could forget about it. But when you have this condition, you can't forget about it. You're constantly reliving it. And if you're a child growing up with this condition and it goes untreated, it gets worse. Doesn't get better. It gets worse. Because on top of that, there's going to be new trauma. There's going to be new situations happening. And there's still going to be people that want to pretend like nothing happened to you. There's going to be people that want to pretend like you're okay. And they don't bother to find out if there is anything they can do for you. When you go to these houses, you're not doing it for for you. You're doing it for them. I mean, let's be honest. You're doing it for them. You know, I have friends that have become like family to me. One of my best friends been friends. We're like brothers for over 30 years. He doesn't understand my condition, but he definitely cares and he definitely listens and he definitely tries. And that's good enough for me. You know, I have another friend that's like a sister to me. And they celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas, but they only have the people over that they know they'll have a good time with. It's not about, well, I have to invite my sister because it's my sister. Why would you do that? You don't like your sister for whatever reason, don't have them over. You know, it, you're playing with people's emotions when you do certain things like that. Horror for me always. You're right. Holidays are as we see them. You're absolutely right. You know, my culture, black culture in Philadelphia anyway, like Easter, for example, that was the busiest churches would get. That was the busiest time of year for retail, clothing stores, Easter. So in black culture, you had to get your Easter suit and your Easter dress, but then you also had to wear, because that was for church. That was just for church, say. Because then you had to get your after church outfit when you went to go have Easter dinner. Now, if you were younger kids, like 2, 3, or whatever, you probably just stayed in the suit. But, you know, if you had enough money, you'd put your kids in a sweatsuit too and a fresh pair of sneakers and all that other good stuff. And I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But it waters down and dilutes to the point of ineffectiveness what the meaning of Easter is. If you're supposed to be giving thanks at Thanksgiving, it shouldn't be forced. You know, if you're supposed to celebrate Christmas and you shouldn't be forced to give a gift to somebody you don't like. I wouldn't want to accept a gift from somebody I don't like. And that's just speaking for me with the whole PTSD thing. But like the year 2020, and wasn't with Florian, of course, but that was actually a good Christmas because I was FaceTiming with my then girlfriend who was in the Philippines. And I saw how her family celebrated Christmas. It wasn't about gifts. These people prepared a feast, like a Thanksgiving feast, but there's no Thanksgiving in the Philippines. And you saw everybody come over. And I mean, my girlfriend's mother and her ex-husband and the mother's boyfriend and the ex-husband's new wife, everybody was genuinely happy to see each other. Blew my mind. The following day, they went to a water park to celebrate, and I thought that culture still has the core value of Christmas. Even though Filipinos are kind of over the top with that whole Santa Claus thing, but you know, that's neither here nor there. But these people genuinely were able to set aside differences, genuinely be happy to see everybody made it to that point in time. It just totally blew my mind. Nowadays, Thanksgiving dinner happens at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon because, after you eat and you let your food set in and the tryptophan, wear off, you got to go to sleep because you have to wake up at midnight so you can get on Amazon.com, or you have to camp out in front of Walmart to get a deal on those flat screens. Yeah. And then you pass around gifts at Christmas time, and then come January 1st, you're waiting for that income tax refund so you can spend more money. And then by Valentine's Day, President's Day, you're asking to borrow money again. The feeling of love that I felt during Thanksgiving and Christmas with my mother, I have never felt that since she died. It's almost like, an addict chasing a dragon. Nothing else is going to come close to it. And for me, not really having relatives that I was connected with that genuinely cared about me, you kind of grasp onto whomever you're dating and what their family traditions might be. And I saw a lot of different family traditions during the holidays. And honestly, they didn't seem heartfelt. Some people put on the big show, in the big festivities, and or they were pretentious, or they wanted you to come over their house for Thanksgiving. So I had my last American ex-girlfriend. Her mother used to take this opportunity to remind everybody what she was leaving them in her will, because she wanted people to talk about how wonderful she was, and she wasn't. She was a whore too. Puerto Rico was like that, so I incorporated a mixture of religious beliefs into my holidays, making it more meaningful. Yeah, Puerto Rico is like that because, just like the Philippines, they used to be owned by the Spaniards. So that Spanish influence is very prevalent here. And I just had some pancit, which, if you taste it with the spice, it feels like, I was in a bodega and I was eating some good home cooking. Because, yeah, I mean, it's good here. They start the holiday season here in the Philippines in September. And that's 3 months of Christmas music and deals on trees and, people talking about what they want. And Florian thinks I'm going to wear a Santa Claus hat, and I told her that ain't happening. Like, I've never cared for Santa Claus. I even asked her, as a kid, you believed that Santa Claus ran around in one night and gave every kid Christmas gifts? And she said, yeah. I said, well, what if you were homeless? You woke up on the street and there was a present with a bow on top of it laying next to you? I'm sure that homeless kid asked Santa Claus to bring him a home. That's the other thing. I'm just going to sidebar for a minute. That seems to be the time, the holiday season, when privileged people actually notice the homeless people. Uh, that bothers me. If you didn't care about the homeless people from January through most of November, don't care about them now. Like, just don't. After you eat, you're gonna go to a soup kitchen and feed somebody like, you know, peas and carrots and lumpy mashed potatoes. And they should be thankful for what they got while you're belching, some rich, juicy turkey breast. Man. All right, I don't want to get too negative here, like I said. All right, wait. But I do want to play this because this is one of my favorite commercials from when I was a kid. Wait a minute. Check this out.
Fireplaces glowing, icicles growing, hearts overflowing with cheer. It's that wonderful season we all find so pleasing, the Toys R Us time of year. The world's biggest toy stores, Toys R Us. The biggest selection, Toys R Us. It's the Toys R Us time of year. Toys R Us.
Yeah, when I was a kid and I heard that commercial, yeah, that anticipation started building. Like, yeah, it's that time of year. It's that time of year. One drawback, though, I think it was Christmas of 1981. I was 10. And my sister, she was older than me, so she was more into fashion and things like that. I was 10, still wanted toys. Well, that year, I got clothes for Christmas. Yay! Clothes. Wow. This is good. Wow, thanks, Mom, Stepdad. Now can I go upstairs and try on my Christmas clothes that I can only wear to school? Can't even wear them after that. You didn't give me anything I can wear now. Just yeah. Anywho, folks, I actually forgot. I'm supposed to look at a house today, so I don't have to rent anymore. But I doubt I'm gonna like this house. Just being honest. But wish me luck, and we'll see how it turns out. I'm not sure what is gonna happen here, but anywho, I hope you guys did have a good Thanksgiving. Um, it's not all bad, but I really do think you should handpick who you invite to spend a holiday with you, and if you don't invite certain people, they're probably not going to care to ask you why. They're just going to be mad at you, and it's probably because that's how they've treated you all year anyway. So I'll leave you guys with this fond memory from one of my favorite Christmas movies, A Christmas Story. Wind Whispers, Yaya, love you guys. Hermes Mom, love you too. Violet Witch, Irish Jazz, my usual suspects. Everybody take care.
Oh, preparing to go to school was like getting ready for extended deep sea diving.
Come on, Mom, we're gonna be late.
All right, Ralph.
My kid brother looked like a tick about to pop.
What? What is it? What is it? Oh. What is it?
I can't put my arms down.
Well, put your arms down when you get to school.